If you're looking for an easy and affordable way to refresh and upgrade the braking system on your 2014 to 2018 Silverado or Sierra 1500, then the PowerStop Z23 Evolution Rotor, Pad, and Caliper Kit is for you. Featuring PowerStop's excellent proprietary compound pads, refreshed calipers, and a full set of drilled and slotted rotors, this kit gives you everything you need to stop on a dime every time, whether you're putting them on a work truck, a daily driver, a hauler, or an off-roader. What we have here is a full front and rear brake rotor, pad, and caliper kit that gives you everything you need to upgrade your Silverado or Sierra stopping power. Now, the most obvious difference here versus your stock brakes are going to be, of course, the drilled and slotted rotors. Now, especially if you tow or haul with your truck at all, these are going to bring a welcome upgrade to the standard solid rotors. The holes and slots in the rotor faces help channel heat away from the face of the rotor and from the pads. And keeping brakes from overheating is the key to having them perform properly. The slots here direct heat out, and the drilled holes give the heat another means of escape through the central vanes. So despite these being the exact same size and vane count as your factory rotors, these are going to perform much better. Now that is of course going to be helped by the pads. The Z23 Evolution pads here are a noticeable step up in performance from your originals, but they really don't have any compromise. PowerStop utilizes their own proprietary carbon fiber ceramic compound with these. It gives them a good initial bite, excellent stopping power, and much better heat resistance versus stock. The pads are thermal scorched during manufacturing to help with faster break-in, and you've got central slots and rubberized stainless steel shims on the back to help keep noise at bay. So these are going to bite hard and fast, plus they'll stand up to multiple full-bore stops in a row without fail. Now, PowerStop claims that these also produce virtually no dust. No brake pad is entirely dust-free, but this formula produces very little, which will help keep your wheels clean. And there's basically no noise here either. Like I said, there's virtually no compromise. Now, in this kit too, you also get a brand new set of calipers. And they've got this really nice shiny red powder coat finish to help give you a little pop of color from the wheel well. They are dual piston up front and single piston in the rear, just like your originals. These aren't any larger than your stock units, but since they are completely brand new, they are going to give you the additional peace of mind that you've got all new brake hardware, so before you hit the road, you'll know that you'll be able to stop quickly and safely. For what it's worth too, I always like to throw in my own anecdotal experience here. I've run a similar kit on my own truck for years now, and even loaded up with all kinds of stuff and a car trailer. The PowerStops have been everything they claim and more. Enough so that I've put PowerStops on my other vehicles too, and I've yet to be anything but seriously happy with the performance. Now, I will say the Z23s are going to be a great setup for a daily driven truck that sees a little bit of truck type usage. If, however, you are towing a ton or you're hauling a bunch of stuff in the bed of your truck, you might want to step up to the Z36s. But if you're not using it all that much, if you're not maxing out your truck every day, the Z23s are going to be a nice step up in performance, and they're going to save you a little bit of money too. When it comes to construction, I continue to be impressed by PowerStop's offerings. The rotors here are made from cast iron, similar to your stock brakes, but they're made using something called G3000 metallurgy. And all that means is that there is a higher percentage of carbon in the iron itself. Like the vanes and holes in the faces of the rotor, that composition is extremely helpful in dissipating heat. As you might be able to tell too, the rotors have a silver zinc plating, which is going to help prevent rust and corrosion, so they're going to look good and perform well for a long time. These are also completely and perfectly mill balanced too, so they're going to provide nice smooth operation. Those pads we were talking about earlier, again, use that proprietary carbon fiber ceramic compound that's designed for excellent heat dissipation, consistent performance, and feel with low dust and low noise. The calipers do come pre-assembled exactly as you see them here on the table, and they've got new boots, new slide pins, and all the stuff that you need so they're ready to bolt on. PowerStop, of course, also includes all new premium stainless steel hardware in the kit and high temp brake lubricant. So short of brake lines and a master cylinder, this gives you everything you need for a complete brake overhaul, and it's really high quality stuff too. About the only compromise with this kit is, of course, the price. Coming in at around $1,100, it's not exactly a drop in the bucket. However, good brakes rarely come cheap, and this is not a place you want to skimp if your truck sees a lot of usage or if you're hauling the family around. Considering that this is a pretty significant performance improvement that includes not only the drilled and slotted rotors, but also the uprated pads and brand new calipers, it's worth the spend here. It's about as close as you're going to get to a full-on big brake upgrade kit without that big brake price tag. In my book, it's always worth spending extra on good brakes, especially if you use your truck a lot. So if you can find the room in the budget, I highly recommend picking up this kit. Installation comes in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and installing this kit is definitely a job that you can accomplish at home. Expect it to take you around 4 hours or so to complete, and even if you've never done brakes before, it's not a difficult job, just requires some time and patience. However, with this one, since you are installing new calipers, it is worth remembering that you will need to do a full bleed of your braking system. Now that might sound intimidating, again, not a difficult job though, just one that's time consuming, though it will require either a brake bleeder tool or another person to help you out with it. Fret not though, we're gonna walk you through the process step by step, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact and 1/4" ratchet, a 19, 18, 13, 11, and T30 socket, 10mm wrench, 3/4 wrench, pliers, and brake clean. All right, today we're gonna be installing some brakes on our Silverado. First, we're gonna watch a quick video how to uninstall the front and the rear, and then we'll come back here to install the new stuff.
First thing we're going to do is remove our brake line from our caliper so that we can get that off of there. And to do that, what you're going to want to do is use some sort of a clamping device on your brake hose to make sure that you don't lose too much brake fluid. Now I'm just using a pair of needle nose vice grips with some rubber hose on the end of it. And we're just going to clamp this on close to the end so that we lose as little brake fluid as possible. Now we're going to use our 11mm socket to remove our brake line from the caliper. Now you will lose a little bit of fluid, but it shouldn't be too much. So now we can just go ahead and get this out of the way and go ahead and finish taking off the rest of our stuff. Now we'll go ahead and remove our caliper, removing the two 19mm bolts, one at the top and one at the bottom. With our bolts removed, just lift up on our caliper and get it out of the way. Now we can go ahead and remove our caliper mounting bracket, an 18mm bolt here and another one down here. So let's go ahead and take those out. Lift that out and the pads will come with it. Now to remove our rotor, we're going to need a T30 Torx bit to remove this screw right here that's holding it to the hub. And with that out of the way, we can just slide our rotor off. Now we're ready to tackle the rear of the truck. And we're going to do the same thing that we did for the front. We're going to put a clamp on our brake hose pretty close to the end so that we don't lose too much brake fluid. And then we'll remove the 11mm bolt that holds the hose to the caliper right here. Now we just get that out of our way. Now we go ahead and remove the caliper using the two bolts at the top and the bottom here, and go ahead and pull that out. Now we'll use our 13mm socket for this upper and lower bolt. You may also need to use a 13/16 wrench to hold this inner nut here when you start to take off the bolt, because it may start spinning the whole thing around. And as is the case, we are going to need it. And with our 2 bolts removed, we just slide our caliper out and get it out of the way. Now we can remove the 2 bolts that hold our caliper mounting bracket on here, and we're going to be using our 18mm socket to take those bolts out. Now we can slide our caliper mounting bracket along with the pads right off. And now we can go ahead and slide our rotor directly out away from the vehicle and get it out of the way. Now you can repeat that process for the other side.
All right, so we're gonna start by installing our new parts. First thing we need to do is clean off our rotor. So we have a little bit of brake clean and a rag. Just gonna clean off any oil or debris on the surfaces. Give that a spray and wipe it off. Do the same thing on the back side. We can go ahead and put that on our truck. Make sure you have the hole lined up for our bolt. We'll go ahead and thread that in. Grab our impact and T30 socket and tighten that down. We're gonna get our new caliper bracket and our pad clips. We're just gonna get them snapped into place. Push them down so they're locked in, flip it over, do the same thing. They are designed the same, so it doesn't matter what side goes on which. All right, now we can go ahead and get our bracket onto our truck. So now we get our bracket onto our knuckle. We're gonna slide that in place, get our 2 factory bolts, thread them in. Then we can grab our impact and 18mm swivel socket and tighten those 2 down. Now we can get our new brake pads on. Now you do want to make note that the pads are different. You'll see this larger, flatter edge on the inside pad. So we're going to grab our supplied brake grease and just lubricate. We're just going to go on our metal clips here. Get our inside pad on. Do the same thing for our outside pad. Get them in there, and now we can get our new caliper on. New caliper is gonna just simply slide over. It's already compressed, so you don't need to worry about depressing the pistons. Get that on, get our new bolts lined up and threaded in. Now you do want to make sure that you have the right caliper because the bleeder will be at the top. If it's not, you will not have good brakes. Grab our impact and 19mm swivel and our 3/4 wrench to hold to keep this from spinning. Just try not to damage the boot when getting this wrench in here. And now we just need to attach our brake line. So we're gonna get our brake line on. Now we have new copper washers. You just wanna make sure you put one on first and then through our brake line and then one on the opposite side. Go ahead and get that threaded in. Grab your ratchet, 11mm socket, and tighten that down. Take the pliers off. Now we can move to the rear. All right, now in the rear, we're gonna do the same thing as front, clean up our rotor surfaces. Then we can go ahead and get this on our truck. All right, keep moving on. We're gonna put our clips for our pads on. Just snap into place. Same thing on the other side. Now we can get this onto the truck. Okay, let's get our bracket on in place and thread in our factory bolts. Go ahead and grab our impact and 18mm swivel socket and tighten these 2 down. You might just need a small extension just to get the reach. And while we're here, we're gonna put our pads on. So you see the one with the squeal tab will be in the back. We're gonna get our supplied brake grease. Loop that up. Same thing for the outside pad. And now we're gonna get our new caliper put over. Once again, make sure the bleeder is on the top. It's also labeled left. Get that over and get our bolts that are supplied threaded in. Now we have 18mm socket to tighten those down, and also our 3/4 wrench. Now we just have our brake line left, get our washer on, through, and then our washer on the back side. Then get this threaded on. Definitely have my clamp in a weird spot. Thread it on, got a ratchet 11mm socket, and tighten that down. All right, now once you have the front and the rear all buttoned up, you can go ahead and repeat those same steps on the other side. Now after you have the other side done, we're gonna need to bleed brakes. Now what you'll wanna do is actually start in the passenger side rear, which is the furthest from the master cylinder, and work your way to the closest one, which will be the driver's side. We are just doing this as a demonstration because these are coming off, so it's not that big of a deal. We're just gonna talk about it. So we're gonna get a buddy in the truck and help pump up the brake pedal and tell him pump it up, hold pressure, and then I'm gonna take my 10mm wrench with this hose on here that'll go into a bucket and crack the bleeder loose. Once you have a flow stop coming, tighten the bleeder back up and have him pump the pressure back up, and just repeat that step about 5 times on each corner, and then you'll be all set to go. Also to note, you wanna make sure that you keep the reservoir full, so pop the hood, open up the brake fluid reservoir, and just keep topping it off as you go to each corner. All right, pump it up a few times. And hold. Pump it up. Hold. Pump it up. Hold. All right, and you just take your hose off. Just repeat those same steps for each corner, so we make sure there's no more air bubbles coming out of the system, and you'll be all set to go. And that wraps up our install of our PowerStop Z23 Evolution Sport 6-lug brake rotor pad and caliper kit for the front and rear of our 2014-18 Silverado and Sierra 1500. And remember, for everything Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.